I didn't say goodbye to anyone. Not out of coldness, but because this wasn't that kind of trip. There was no dramatic send-off, no waving from docks. Just a quiet arrival at a facility near a remote lake, a briefing from 2 marine biologists, and then a descent. The module was cylindrical, metallic, and barely spacious enough to walk without brushing my shoulders. It sat anchored to the floor of the lake, about 20 meters below the surface. It had everything I needed: a bunk, basic kitchen tools, monitoring equipment, and a single round window facing the silty green world beyond. I was part of a climate observation project recording temperature, aquatic activity, pressure changes, and, less scientifically, the experience of solitude. 1 month. Lone. The first hours were mechanical. Power checks. Logging system diagnostics. Familiarizing myself with the software that monitored outside conditions. Inside, everything buzzed quietly. I could hear the hum of the generators above water, faint through layers of liquid and metal. The lake pressed around me like a weighted blanket. Sleep came easily the first night. I was tired, and the stillness was complete. No headlights, no city sounds, no human footsteps overhead. Just the creak of the module settling. In the first few days, I established a rhythm. Wake, check instruments, log data, prepare food, write in the research log, and then just exist. I read books on the tablet. I sat by the window and watched the particles drift like snow through green water. Once, a fish passed close, eyeing me through the glass before flicking away. Time elongated. Without day and night to guide me, I stopped measuring by hours. The module had a light that dimmed in cycles, but even that felt artificial. The real world, the one beyond the window, knew no such division. Just a steady, cold presence. After about a week, I noticed something. Every night, or what passed for night, there came a soft tapping against the hull. Not rhythmic, not mechanical, just occasional. Like a finger, sometimes close, sometimes farther away. I recorded it, logged the times. But the patterns didn't align with currents or known aquatic activity. I tried rationalizing. Mole debris, maybe fish. But the sounds weren't random enough. They almost seemed hesitant, as if testing something. The next week passed slower. My thoughts stretched long and slow. I found myself watching the window for hours. My own reflection blurred into the water beyond. It began to feel like I wasn't alone. Not quite. The pressure of the lake, the subtle currents, even the silence. It all had a presence. Not threatening, just observing. Once, I whispered to the water. I don't know why. By the 3rd week I had dreams. Strange ones. In one, I stood on the lakebed outside the module without gear, breathing normally. In another, I saw lights beneath the sediment, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. Sometimes I'd wake and check the sensors, half expecting the data to confirm something unexplainable. But the numbers were always boringly normal. One time I left the lights off and just sat in the dark watching. My eyes adjusted slowly. The window looked like an open mouth. I thought I saw movement far off, a shift in shadows. But when I leaned closer, I only saw my own dim outline. The tapping returned. Now nightly. Came in pairs, 2 taps, pause, then 2 again. It was almost a language. I resisted the urge to tap back. Then one evening the power flickered. Just for a moment. But in that silence, after everything powered down and before the backup kicked in, I swear I heard something breathing inside the module. There was no one there. After that I became quieter. Not afraid, just reverent. The lake was old. Older than any building. Older than any voice I could name. I began to wonder if the water remembered things. If the sediment held stories. Maybe the tapping wasn't new. Maybe it was always there, and I was just still enough to hear it now. I didn't try to explain this in my logs. The scientists would roll their eyes. Kept it factual. But privately I began writing small notes. Short lines. Observations. Not for anyone. Just so the silence wouldn't go unanswered. On my last day the tapping stopped. I waited the full cycle. Nothing. Pack slowly. Left my final notes in a sealed envelope by the control panel. When the retrieval crew arrived and brought me up, the light hurt. The sky looked too wide. The voices too loud. But I didn't say anything. I just smiled and nodded. Someone asked, "How was it?" I said, "Still." And I meant it. Sometimes late at night now I fill a glass with water and watch it. Just to see if anything moves. I didn't expect to go back. Few people would. But a month after returning, I found myself restless. My apartment felt too dry, too loud, too artificial. The rhythms of the city grated against something in me that had softened. I kept waking at night, convinced I heard tapping. I hadn't told anyone what really happened in the module, and I didn't plan to. Then an email came, a request for follow-up. Not mandatory. But your psychological stability and observational clarity during your previous stay make you an ideal candidate. The phrasing was flattering and strategic. They needed someone who had already been down there, someone who could handle it. So I said yes. The module had been refurbished. Slight upgrades. New water filtration. Improved signal strength. A few more sensors. But the structure was the same. Cold. Pressed. Butching. This time the descent felt familiar. I didn't panic. I didn't brace myself. I just let the silence return. The tapping started again on the first night. Froze. It was faint like before, 2 taps, pause, 2 taps. But I hadn't written that in my official logs. No one knew the pattern. It hadn't appeared in any of the equipment logs either. I placed my hand against the wall. I didn't respond. This time the days passed faster. I already knew the rhythms. Wake, monitor, eat, rest. I wrote fewer scientific entries and more reflective ones. Questions. Speculation. The sort of thing I once dismissed. I began to notice shadows. Not always clear, but different from the drifting silt. Sometimes they hovered. Sometimes they streaked across the window faster than any fish I knew. Once I caught a glint like an eye-catching light. I still didn't respond to the taps. But they continued. Night after night. About halfway through the stay I found something. A small notch near the floor panel. Curious, I pried it open. Inside, wrapped in plastic, was a sheet of paper. It was damp but legible. It was a drawing. Crude map. The module was at the center. Around it were a series of circles. Some larger, some smaller, connected by lines. At the bottom a handwritten note. "They are listening." I stared at the paper for a long time. There had been no record of anyone else discovering such a note. No prior occupant mentioned it. Unless they were told not to. Or unless they left something behind intentionally. I began sleeping less. The dreams returned, more vivid. I walked through the module in my sleep. Woke up standing by the window with no memory of getting there. Once, I found myself writing in a language I didn't recognize. Long sweeping arcs. Shapes like waves. I sent one update to the surface team. System normal. Observation continuing. They didn't ask for more. Then, during one of the long quiet cycles, the tapping changed. It wasn't 2 and pause anymore. It was a sequence. Long one. Then a short one. Then another long. Tap back. I don't know why. Curiosity. Resignation. A need to acknowledge that I heard. After I did, the tapping stopped completely. For almost an entire day. And then that night, the lights in the module turned off. All of them. The backup didn't kick in. I waited, heart pounding. Pitch darkness. The hum of systems was gone. Even the pressure felt different. Then a glow. From the window. Something was outside. Soft lights, faintly blue, moved in slow orbits beyond the glass. Like lanterns beneath water, but deeper. Larger. They didn't blink. They pulsed. I pressed my face to the window. Shapes moved in the murk. Not solid. Not like fish. More like silhouettes. As if the water itself was folding. Curving. Peering back. The power returned in a flicker. And the lights outside vanished. No log data captured the outage. No anomaly was recorded. I knew then. It wasn't malfunction. It was communication. The lake was not empty. It was not even just alive. It was aware. I no longer feared it. But I didn't feel safe either. I began whispering back during the quiet hours. I don't remember everything I said. Apologies. Questions. Just connection. On the final night there was no tapping. But a soft vibration passed through the walls, low like a hum. I stood still and listened. Understood nothing. And yet I felt understood. When the crew retrieved me, I didn't bring the drawing. I left it where I found it. Someone else will come, I'm sure. And they will listen. Maybe they'll answer sooner than I did. Maybe the lake will remember them too. I still dream in blue now. Sometimes when I hold my breath long enough, I feel the hum return. Not in my ears but in my bones. I don't miss the surface. I miss the silence that spoke.